an alcoholic. My name is Stacy. I guess I can take this off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So this is the first time I've done a meeting like this. Oh, James, how's it going? You don't have any coffee, do you? I don't know if my ADHD can do this. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I'm definitely an alcoholic, and my name is Stacy. And so I'm nervous, obviously. I always get nervous. But, you know, thank you, Bill, for asking me to speak. Let's see, get the basics out of the way. July 24th, 2015 is when I sobered up. Of course, it was not the first time I tried this. 2015 is when I first, went to my first treatment center. But I do have sponsees, and I have a sponsor. I have 2 home groups because 2 is always better than 1. And so Big Bird or Early Bird, excuse me. I'm thinking of both of them. That's what I'm doing. I'm putting them together. So I got Big Book No Smoke, which is on Monday. It normally meets on Monday nights, but now that we have, the COVID situation, we no longer meet. We only do Zoom right now. Hopefully that's going to be changing in the near future. But Early Bird at the Summit, we meet every day there. Not now, obviously, but before we met every day at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now I think it's only like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 8 in the morning. And they have like a 40 person capacity right now. And I'm also, I get to do service work with Fellowship Hall. I love that. Fellowship Hall has really, that service work has saved me so many times. So I'm the treasurer of Big Book No Smoke. That's another service commitment that has really, kept me going. So I guess I need to tell you what it was like and what happened and what it's like today. So I will say that I don't think that any event in my life has created an alcoholic in me. I believe I was born this way. As far back as I can remember, when I could remember as a child, I don't ever remember being comfortable in my own skin or loving the person that I am. I was always comparing myself to anybody around me, mostly obviously women. I would either want to be like them or look like them or something, and I was from a kind of a low income family. And my parents, they actually split up they separated and divorced when I was 2. So I don't really remember that portion of it, but I had a little bit of, my brother, he's a little bit older than me. He and I both, and my mom, we all moved in with my grandparents on my mother's side. And my grandfather, was a raging alcoholic. And I only say that because he identified himself as an alcoholic. And so I had a lot of drinking around me, and it was the dynamics were weird at my grandparents' house because when my grandfather would drink, my grandmother was the one that would actually hit us. It was weird. My grandfather really didn't, he wasn't mean. He was more loving. He never treated us bad. But if you got near my grandmother, she would hit you in 2 seconds. And most of the time, she'd go for your face. So I just remember my mom not being there a lot, and that's because she sort of went on hiatus herself, not knowing how to handle her separation and divorce. She went out partying a lot. So while she was out partying, my brother took care of me, really. He did everything my parent was supposed to be doing. And so my grandfather would always go out, and I just remember this is something for some reason that sticks in my brain, is that he would go out and he would get this flatbed trailer, and he'd get drunk and he'd go out and he had some kind of a fetish with John Deere tractors. I'm not sure what that was, but it was mainly, lawn equipment, like the 0-turn radius, lawnmowers and stuff like that. Well, anyway, he would load up this flatbed trailer and he would bring it home. And then and it would be like 11 or 12 at night. And my grandmother, would start cussing and, just raging. Okay. And if you got near her, she hit you. Well, one night I ventured out there when all this was going on. And for some reason, my brother didn't get me in time. And I ended up getting too close to my grandmother. I just remember her backhanding me. And it really caught me off guard because I never saw her swinging. I never saw her near me. I think I was more focused on my grandfather, and I was probably about 5 or 6 maybe. But I just remember, coming up off the ground, and I remember having grass and, dirt in my teeth. And I don't even know why I'm tearing up right now, but I am. But I just remember when I did stand up, that I was scared. That's the first time I really can look back and know that I was scared. And I felt like it was me against the world, that nobody was going to help me. And I just didn't feel safe, and that's not a good feeling at like the age of 5 or 6, I remember my brother running out there and grabbing me and running me inside to get me away so I didn't get hit again. So anyway, that was the kind of dysfunction I was living in. Like I said, now my father never identified himself as an alcoholic. However, he could have really competed with drinking with me. That's the only thing I'm going to say. And he drank liquor, and that was it. It was Jim Beam. I remember that all the time. And I remember my grandmother calling me one time and saying, are you drinking again? And he's like turning the bottle up, and he's cutting his eyes at me going, nope, I'm not. And so, I watched him lie to his mom, Anyway, my dad was one of those that would say, I'm going to come pick you guys up at 5 o'clock on Friday. And we'd pack our stuff. We were all excited. And Sunday, our stuff was still sitting there at the door. So he never came and got us. And so we had a lot of that. They're just, mom wasn't in the picture, and neither was dad. And when we did go over to our dad's house, I remember he would go outside, and he did outside substances too. Plus he drank, and he sold stuff out of the house. But I remember him and a bunch of his friends, they would get in the front yard, and I guess they would get toe up from the flow up, and they would just like pass out, and just fall out in the grass. And so my grandmother would come pick us up on Sundays. And when she would pick us up, we would be stepping over my dad and all these people. We didn't even know if they were breathing. And then we would turn around and we'd go to church. Now, and it's funny because I was talking about this with some of my fellowship friends earlier today, but we went to a Baptist church, and I remember my grandfather and my whole entire family. I mean, if you saw us on Sunday at church, you just thought we were the greatest family in the world. I think early on, I was taught not to show people who I really was, and what was really going on, because I looked really like my Sunday best and everything was great, when we were sitting there in church on Sunday morning. And then when we went home, we went back to the chaos and, the fear, all that stuff. But yet we were, trying to make everybody think everything was great and we had everything under control, So anyway, I remember those things. So growing up, I mean, I've lost parts of my childhood somewhere along the line. But I just know that I stuck with my brother about everywhere I went. Like, he walked me to the bus, he walked me to class and school. He did a lot of stuff for me. And, I never stopped and thought until sobriety, that God did provide me someone, to take care of me. I always tried to make out like I was alone. I was by myself. But I wasn't. God had somebody there for me, and somebody there with me, protected me. So anyway, somewhere along the line, I think I was probably 7, my mom decides she wants to get married. We move out into, a trailer park, and, life's great. However, we're like latchkey kids. We go to school, we come home, we open the door, and there's nobody there. and we do whatever we want. And, you know, and of course, for me, as years went on, the angrier I got. You know, I think I tried my first outside substance when I was 12 with my best friend, who happens to be one of us. And, you know, and then of course, my brother, I think I was 14 when my brother got his license, or 13. I may have been 13, because when my brother got his license and I was the age of 13, that's when I started going with him to all of his friends' houses. And we would do it every weekend, starting on Friday, Saturday. You know, we'd end up at a lake somewhere, or we'd end up at somebody's house or apartment or whatever. And we were getting provided free beer. So I drank. I don't remember exactly the first time I drank. I just know that I drank a lot, and that I was hugging the toilet. I got sick, sick as a dog. I remember, I think it was like Bud Light or something, is whatever it was. But anyway, but I remember not remembering. Like, I mean, I remember waking up going, oh God, what happened last night? You know, what did I do? And today I know that was a blackout, you know, but I didn't know that then. I thought I just got really tore up and just messed up. And you know, I can't remember anything. So anyway, you know, but I do remember I wanted to do it every Friday and Saturday like clockwork. I knew I was going to get excited, you know, closer to the end of the weekend, because it was coming. I could do it, you know, I could get drunk. But when I was 13, I decided, you know, I was going to take my mom's car. I remember that because my brother had drove off and wouldn't take me somewhere. I can't even remember where it was. Now, this will show you what kind of person I was, and can still be that person if I'm not careful. But it was like, it's what I wanted to do, right? I want to do it, and I want to do it right now. And anybody that tries to stop me, you know, is going to have a problem. I'm going to do it because it's what Stacy wants to do. You know, my selfishness, it was all about me. And I was, at 13, I was angry, obviously, and I was very self-centered. And I felt like they owed me. You know, y'all owe me for being horrible parents, never being there for me and not protecting me. You know, I should be able to do what I want. You know, you owe me. So that's where my mindset was, you know. So I wanted to go somewhere. My brother wouldn't take me. So why not just get my mom's car and take my mom's car? Now, mind you, we're a low-income family, and we only had one vehicle for our entire family. You know, my stepdad and my mom both worked. And had to get to work. That was our family's only mode of transportation. But it didn't matter to me. I didn't think about any of that stuff, you know. It was all about me. So anyway, so I sold her car. Now, I will say that it's not a good idea to drive by your brother when he's broke down on the side of the road and yell, ha, 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 you know, hey, and keep on going, because he told on me. So I found out real quick that I'm not real good at stealing cars. It's just not something I'm good at. So, you know, of course, my mom threatened not to get my license, and she's threatened to take all this stuff away. But, of course, none of that happened. She still, at the age of 16, took me up and got my driver's license. And so you have to understand, I think, you know, to a degree, my mom was trying at that point in her life, she had changed. And I think it was her way of trying to make an amends for where she had messed up by giving me everything I wanted, in all honesty. But I didn't see that then. And not only that, I don't know that she realized the harm she was doing, you know, by making an amends in that way. So anyway, because that just fueled the fire for me. You know, that just gave me permission to go do whatever it is I wanted to do. Anyway, I'm drinking every weekend. And I remember going to one party, and I don't even know whose apartment. I don't even know where we were at. And back then we didn't have cell phones. You know, you had to get a job and pay for your own cell phone back then. So we didn't have cell phones. And I remember my brother and I stayed gone for days, at least 2 or 3, I think. But we were at this one apartment, and I drank so much, you know, and I don't remember anything, honestly. Like, I don't even remember the night or nothing. But I do know when I woke up, and I was in this person's bed. I don't even know who it was. And I went to the door and I unlocked the door because obviously somebody had locked it. Thankfully, there was nobody in there with me. But when I opened the door, there were two men sitting down in front of the door, leaned up on the door jamb, asleep. And these were two of my brother's friends, just trying to make sure nobody came in there. But I put myself in a lot of situations like that where I could have really got hurt. I'm sorry, like my gratitude, because there's so many times in my life, even today, where I don't see where God's working, but God is, and God did. He still does. And I'm just grateful for that. You know, I mean, I see that today. I didn't see it then. Anyway, you know, it was one of the many times, like, every time I drank, I want to tell you right now, I threw up. I mean, I couldn't handle the alcohol. Well, you know, I'm living my best life, doing what I want to do, when I want to do it. And so I decided at the age of 16, you know what? I don't want to do school. I think school's just, you know, it's getting in my way. So I quit school at the age of 16. Oh, and by the way, you know, I really like dudes, right? And so that's what I ran after. I ran after dudes. And what I would do is I would get a group of guys and I'd kind of scan and I would find the most broken one, you know, because I could fix that guy. I could fix him. I don't know if anybody knew I had that kind of magic, but I could really fix a guy. I could change things around in his life and teach him how to live, you know, and make him a better person. And I swear, man, like every experiment failed. Every experiment failed. It never worked. It was a major letdown. But, you know, so I went out and, of course, you know, my mom, I started seeing this guy and my mom just couldn't stand him. He's not good for you, Stacy. You need to get away from him. And so needless to say, I didn't get away from him. I mean, you know, she's going to tell me to do something. I really feel like the opposite of what she's telling me is probably my best avenue, right? And of course, I ended up pregnant at the age of 16. And then at 17, I had my son, who's now 25. He'll be 26 in May. And so I will say that I did end up going back to school after he was born because something happened there for me. And it was the ego and a pride thing for me. I wanted to show my family that, you know, I could be different than them, right? I could be better than them. It was an ego trip for me, big time. And so I did not stay with my son's dad. I left my son's dad because it was a volatile relationship between the two of us. But I'm going to tell you, like, I went around going, oh, he's a deadbeat dad. He used to beat on me. He used to do all this stuff. You know, I can't believe the way that man treated me, you know. And believe me, I marked it up a lot worse back when I was telling it, you know. And after working the steps of this program, I have figured out, boy, I dished out just as much as he did. It was mutual combat between us, you know, like if anybody was the victim, it might've been him, you know? And I know today that, especially at the age of 16, because we were both 16, that he did the best he could with the tools that were given to him, just like I did, you know, and we were just young, you know, and it wasn't good for us to be together. It was toxic. So anyway, with that being said, he wasn't really in my son's life. But on my ego trip, I went ahead and I went to law enforcement training. After I graduated, because I did go back to high school for 2 years, I graduated. And after I graduated, I jumped straight into law enforcement training. You know, like I said, I think it was more of an ego trip. And I won't lie to you, like anything that I could get people to celebrate me, celebrate Stacy, you know, I'm there. Sign me up, you know, because I'm all about somebody celebrating me, you know. I love a graduation when I'm doing it, you know. And so anyway, I jumped straight into law enforcement, or I got my first law enforcement job at the age 21. And I'm still currently with that employer. So I've been there going on 22 years. And because of the grace of God and this program, I got 22 years in, which is a miracle. Anyway, when I got out of there, I'm goal oriented, and I had a counselor at my first treatment center tell me that, Stacy, you are goal oriented, and I was like, I know, they're going, I know, like, I'm all proud of myself. And she's like, yeah, well, you need to check that, check that problem. I'm like, what is she talking about? And it took that second treatment center to make me figure out, this program ain't a goal. It's a journey. It is a journey. One I'm thankful today that I didn't miss, Anyway, after I graduated, and I got my career kind of up and going, it was back for a hunt for a man, because I'm looking for something, right? Because I've been searching for something all my life, and I was looking for something, just that thing. And most of the time it was, it's either in a man or it was in a house, a car, whatever, but mostly men. So anyway, let's see, that's when I think, I don't know, that's probably 2003 is when I found another victim. And he was broken. He needed help. And I just felt like I was probably the best one that could really, kind of fly in there and save him. I just didn't know anybody else probably could do it. So I went ahead and just took that up, and so anyway, we dated for probably about 5 years, and I finally talked him into marrying me, because he didn't want to. But, I'm not going to leave you alone until I get what I want, right? Because I can't take no for an answer. And so, and then of course, after we got married, I wanted another kid, but he didn't. But I'm not going to take no for an answer. So I'm going to manipulate, because that's who I am. I'm a liar and I'm a manipulator, right? And so I manipulated him into having another child. And so I have a 9-year-old who will be 10 on the 26th of this month. But again, I'm still searching for that thing, right? I'm trying to find that thing. And I will tell you, my career, all my career, I have been, trying to get promoted, trying to get ahead, and I used to tell people I'm a great mother, or they all thought I was a great mother, but the thing is, I would tell people, hey, I'm here for, I'm living for my son. I'm living to take care of my son, and it's all about him, but it was all about me. I was all about the career, getting ahead, being better than, or all that stuff. I didn't really consider my son, and somewhere along the line, I took on this badass exterior where I was like, well, if I'm mean and I give off that persona that if you come near me, I'm going to tear you down. People will leave me alone, right? They won't get close enough to me to know that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and they won't get close enough to know who I am, because I didn't want them knowing who I was, right? And I could fit in anywhere I went. I could be just like anybody. If you had an opinion, I'll be damned if my opinion wasn't the same thing. Isn't that crazy? We bumped into each other and we're thinking the same exact thing, and then I could go across the room and somebody thinks something completely different. Well, God must have sent me over here because I believe the exact same that you do. I could fit in anywhere because I never had an opinion. My opinion or what I wanted to do was always whatever your opinion was and what you wanted to do. So I always tried to fit in because I wanted to be accepted, Anyway, so I will tell you that by the time I started law enforcement training, and I'm not saying this to boast or brag or anything, I just want you to know this, and even in the big book it talks about it, is that, I started law enforcement training and I had 3 jobs. I had a part-time job, I had 2 part-time jobs, and I had a full-time job. Because, I was trying to get through school and pay for, my son. I didn't have time to drink. Okay. So all up in my teenage years, up until, I started, into school, really. I drank, but once I found out I was pregnant, I don't know how I did it, but I quit. I just didn't drink. I was too busy. But all my character defects were still there, the self-centeredness and all that stuff, manipulation, lying, you name it. It's crazy because I used to tell people all the time, I had one good friend. Well, the only reason I had that one good friend is she's the only one that could put up with my ass, because she was just like me, So anyway, while I was in law enforcement training, I didn't drink. I got into my job. I was too busy working, too busy taking care of my son. I didn't drink. Now, after I got married, I did start drinking. I started, taking shots. I only drank liquor because liquor was the only thing that, didn't make me throw up. But I used to, it was crazy. I would drink it on good days. I would drink it on bad days, and I would drink it on days that I was bored. So the first time I ever got asked that question, hey, what's your triggers? I always tell people I'm alive and I'm awake. That's my trigger, because I thought really hard, like, what the hell are my triggers? And then I figured it out, and I was like, you know what? It's simple. It's really simple for me. I could be doing whatever. If for some reason this thought hit my brain, and that means I got to tell it. I don't know if any of y'all know Wayne S. I love that guy. But he's one of the home group members at the Early Bird. But he's somebody I look up to. I love him to death. Anyway, I remember riding down the road. We were talking about going to eat Mexican. And I guess I was probably about 2 or 3 years sober at the time. Now, and we're in Greensboro. I don't even know. We were on one of the main roads. So it's a lot of lanes, right? It's a lot of traffic because it was like, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And anyway, I'm riding down the road, and, we start talking about, oh, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if I could have a little bit of alcohol while I was there at the Mexican restaurant eating, and I could feel myself kind of getting a little low, Well, we come up to a red light, and we stop, and, once the cars get stopped, and I kind of look over in the lane beside me, and I'll be damned if it wasn't Wayne in the car next to me on Wendover. And there's like a bunch of traffic out there. And I thought, this is God right here, just saying, hey, look. So I roll my window down and, tell him, hey, and all that other stuff. And of course, I told him later, I was like, God just presented you to me because that's what was happening. My little brain was starting to stir up some stuff up there, So I'm glad I couldn't, I'm glad I couldn't drink. But anyway, for some reason that hit my brain. I felt like it needed to come out. So I did start drinking. For me, my spiral went down real fast. I think the book talks about that as well. For women, it goes a little faster than men. And mine did. I started drinking while I was trying to get my husband, to make a baby with me. I started drinking then. And then once we would start trying, I would quit. And then, I had 2 miscarriages, which I didn't think did much to me, but it did. Because, everything always just rolled off my back, right? It's all fine. Everything's fine. My life is fine. I'm fine. Everything's just fine, Never let them see you sweat, right? So that was my motto. And another one was, I got this. I got this. Y'all don't worry about it. I got this. And so anyway, I had 2 miscarriages, and then the third one, I got pregnant with my son. And, and I stopped drinking. I don't know how that happened. I stopped drinking. And of course, once I had him and I started breastfeeding, so I couldn't drink. And then once I got done breastfeeding, I was like, well, it's time to party. The party's on. Now, and I do remember this. I remember after having my son, and, he's probably about 8 months old. I went out with a bunch of coworkers, and just took shot after shot after shot after shot. And we went to the Comedy Zone, and I think my head hit the table, like right in the middle of the first act. And I don't remember anything past that. I remember my husband at the time carrying me out to the car. I remember making it to the couch in the front room at the house, but that was about it. And then, of course, I got the question, do you remember what you did last night? The dreaded question. I hated that question. You remember what you said or you remember what you did? Because I'm like, oh, God, what did I do? But that was the first time I had gotten that question. And I was like, man, it's got to be because I've, was, without alcohol for so long. I just couldn't handle it, and so I'm sure that that's where it came from, right? But so I said, well, automatically I'm going to start trying to figure out how I can stop that from happening again. And I think about 2 or 3 weeks later, we go out with some other friends, and I decide I'm only going to take a few shots. And then the next thing you know, I'm way past those few shots and I'm well into the bottle, right? And I don't remember the ride home. I know that, at that time, I don't know, I'm sort of speculating, but I'm thinking my husband was a little pissed off at that point, and because he just dropped me right there at the foyer at the front door, Last time I got a cover. I didn't even get a cover this time. He just put me there, So at this point, I think I probably made him a little mad, But really after that situation is when it took off for me. I like I said, I would go in there and I'd say, I'm only going to take 5 shots. Now my garage is where I hid everything. I hid my bottles. I hid my shot glasses. I hid there, and I remember I took a shot real quick and turned around, and all of a sudden, my husband at the time comes out and he looks at me and he says, are you drinking? And I'm like, no. Why? You smell it? But I bold-faced lied to him, I remember one time he went to the ABC store and he found like a huge bottle of tequila. And he was like, oh, wow, like it's on sale. More is on sale. So if I get it for, it's going to last longer, right? And so they put it in this, brown paper bag. And I remember, like, I killed it. Within days, I killed it, and so I was like, oh, shit, he's going to look at this thing in the freezer, and he's going to be like, where did it all go, So I was like, I got an idea. Like, I'm going to put water in it, and I'm going to stick it back in there. Like, he'll never notice, And so I do it. And then, of course, the next day, he goes in there, and he gets the bottle, and he's like, shaking it like, it's frozen, Stacy. And I was like, I guess you just got like a bad bottle of alcohol. I mean, something's wrong. We probably need to talk to the ABC store, And I'm not too sure why he didn't believe me, Anyway, so we never made that trip to the ABC store, and he kind of looked at me like I was a little stupid. But it was crazy stuff that I did, and I used to drink tequila, but I switched to vodka. We all know why I did that, right? Because they can't smell it. I'm in law enforcement. I'm a police officer. I can smell the alcohol, period. It doesn't matter if it's vodka. It doesn't matter if it's any of that stuff. But isn't that crazy how this disease overrode the knowledge in my brain, and what I've experienced? It overrode all my experiences, my values, my morals. It overrode absolutely all that stuff, education, everything. The smartest people I've ever met in my life are in these rooms, and it made me realize that education is not going to get me sobriety. It's not going to get me what I have today. My education level or how much I know is not going to get me where I'm at right now. I would go days without taking a bath. I was a blackout drinker. I'd get injured. I'd get hurt. All those good things. So anyway, and I was one of those that would get up in the mornings at 3 and I would be shaken and I would take shots and I would throw up. And I would, I would drink more. I'm sorry. But I would drink more just to get down what I just threw up. I'm just so grateful I don't have to live like that today. And the gratitude has hit me a lot. I guess it's probably because it's Easter. But, you know, I'm like, the only time I hit my knees today is when I pray. And that's just, you know, that's the beauty of this program, you know. Anyway, I'm not falling down because I'm drunk. I'm falling down to give thanks and asking for help, because that's where my dependence is today. So anyway, I don't ever want to shut the door on where I was at, because I wanted to die. You know, I didn't want to be here anymore. And so anyway, I got in trouble at work, because crazy thing is, I mean, my employer expected me to be at work, and apparently calling in every day wasn't a good idea, because, you know, they showed up and found out I was drunk. And so I got 2 days off without pay. They treated me extremely respectful somehow. I don't know why. I will tell you, that first treatment center I went to that treatment center. Remember, I like graduations, right? So I was able to graduate successfully from that treatment center. However, I didn't go to meetings like they taught me to, because I don't know if anybody knew this or not, but like my calendar was full. I really didn't have time, you know. And a sponsor, you know, I got a sponsor. I think I called her a few times. I may have went out to eat with her once, I think. But, you know, I really didn't have time to call her either. I mean, again, my calendar was pretty full, you know. And I remember I started shopping because apparently the AA meetings in Greensboro weren't getting me sober. You know, nobody was saying anything miraculous. So I started going to Winston, and nothing they were saying there miraculously was helping me out, you know. And it was crazy, because this thought just hit my brain too. I used to come in and say, oh, well, I would hear people tell their story, and I was like, oh, I never went to an ABC, or I never went to a meeting drunk, all right? You know, so, oh, look at me. I'm like the bright and shining star in the AA meeting, right? I've never went to one drunk. However, that's because I was so clever to pick the ones that ended before the ABC store closed. So as soon as I got out the door, I'd go to the ABC store and I would get some alcohol, you know? So see, I felt like I was doing it chronically in a good order, you know, like I would go to the meeting and then go to the ABC store, you know? But anyway, Winston wasn't keeping me sober. So I go to High Point, and I picked a sponsor there too. And I drunken text her one night, and I don't even remember her name because I drank through all of it, you know, but I remember telling her, you know, I think I need a more aggressive sponsor, because whatever you're doing is just, it's not working, you know. You're not keeping me sober, and maybe sponsorship's not for you. I don't know, but it's just something's not happening here, you know. And I would literally make it amends if I could remember that poor woman. But I'm pretty sure she probably just laughed at me. Anyway, when I got in trouble at work, I was forced to go through another treatment center. And like I said, I got showed a lot of respect. I want to hurry up because I'm running out of time, and I want to make sure I give you the good stuff. But you know, they treated me with more respect than I deserved. They should have fired me, period. I don't know why I didn't get a DWI or get arrested, because I was out there. I ABC store shopped. I was on the road drunk. And, you know, like I said, my morals and my ethics were gone, you know, and I put my kid in the car seat, strapped my 2-year-old in the car seat, went to the ABC store drunk because I ran out, you know. That's where the disease had taken me. I mean, completely, to a point of doing things I never thought I would. So anyway, you know, thank God for consequences, because my employer saved me. Because, you know, they got me upstairs, asked me what treatment center I wanted to go to. And of course I can't go to the other one, because I don't want to go to the one I just went to, because I don't want them knowing I failed, you know. So I get sent to the other treatment center. And, you know, I remember being so angry that these people were telling me what I had to do. I'm an adult. We were talking about it today. I was cussing going to the early bird, but I worked
I'll tell you what my employer did. The treatment center I went at night. So I'd go to that treatment center and I would get out of treatment. I'd go home. I would put my uniform on and I would go to work and I would work 12 hours. And even though I was pissed off and even though I had all kinds of emotions, I told myself, I'm going to do 90 meetings in 90 days like these people suggested. You know, this shit won't work, but I'm going to do it, you know, because they told me just to do it, don't think, right? So that's what I did. I did 90 meetings in 90 days, but my employer paid for the time I was sitting in that treatment center during outpatient treatment. They paid for me. They were paying me to sit there, you know, in treatment. And then turn around. I didn't lose any of my wages because I was sitting in treatment when I was supposed to be at work. They paid me. You know, and it's crazy because things like that didn't even hit me until a year after I'd been sober. Anyway, I did the 90 meetings in 90 days, but I did 12 hours on third shift. I'd get off work at 6:30 in the morning. I would go home. I would change. I would walk my dog and I would drive 25 minutes to the early bird every morning. And I would sit in the early bird, and they welcomed me. And I did that every night and every day. That was my everyday routine. And then on the weekends, obviously I would get more. And, you know, they told me to, you know, start becoming a part of, you know, so I would go out with people that were in the meetings and stuff. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. I ain't got a better way of describing it, but I felt like a turd in a punch bowl. Like I didn't belong. These people were like me. I don't fit in, you know, but I went. Even though I was uncomfortable, I went. And I kept going. And then before you knew it, I was making friends, and people were embracing me, and people love me no matter what, you know. The people in these rooms, man, you know, y'all have no idea how important you are to me, you know, and I do take y'all for granted. I do. But I sure am grateful for you, you know, because like I had to wipe the slate clean of everything I thought I knew about living life. I thought I knew it all, man. I thought I had it, you know, but I had to wipe the slate clean of everything I thought I knew. And these people in these rooms had to retrain me, you know, through the big book, through the program, through the process of the steps, through a sponsor, a network of women, you know, all that. I had to be retrained, you know, and all this was foreign to me. Every bit of it was foreign to me. But I had to start doing it. And I love the saying. I've been hearing it a lot lately, you know, for some reason. So God must be wanting me to hear it. But you can't think your way into a new way of living. You got to live your way into a new way of thinking, you know. And so am I saying that right? I think I'm saying that right. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and it's crazy because it's true, you know, my thinking's what got me where I was at, you know. And so these people were telling me, here's how I did it. Like it was suggestions. It wasn't something they told me I had to do. But I knew I had to change. I was desperate. I came in with desperation. You know, but they told me to get a sponsor. They told me to get a home group. They told me to start working the steps, do service work, help out. I mean, you know, get involved, go out with people, you know, all these things, man. And, you know, the transformation took place without my permission, you know, and before you knew it, like I had a year and, you know, I'm sitting around grateful I'm an alcoholic, you know. Y'all taught me that nothing I did yesterday is going to keep me sober today. Absolutely nothing I did yesterday is going to keep me sober today. It's what I do today, you know, it's all I have for today, right? So I want to tell you what my daily routine is. You know, I every morning I get up. I have several different spiritual readings that I read. I read the 24 hours a day. I read the daily reflections. You know, I picked up another book. One of my sponsees gave me a book. As a matter of fact, Allison gave me a book. And then I read that. And then I do a gratitude list. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for, and I write down 10 affirmations. And then I text that list to my sponsees every day. And then I get down on my knees and I pray. I give thanks for what I have. And I ask God for help and I ask God for strength because I have found out that I am weak. God is strong. And that's where I get my strength. That's where I ask for guidance. I get my guidance. God has taught me how to pause if I'm not getting an answer and I'm not feeling good about something, how to pause. No matter how bad I want it, and I don't necessarily get it, I'm able to say no to things today, even though it's like, ooh, that's shiny, it's pretty, or it's a squirrel, I want the squirrel, I don't buy it, so, this program has, like I said, I can't pinpoint when all these transformations took place, but, I still have character defects. They're still there. I have to ask God to help me with them every day, and take an inventory, making amends when I'm wrong. Cause I was one of those that lived and I set a standard for myself that I never could reach. So every day when I laid down, I was a failure every day. And today I get to recognize what I am is I'm a human being. I'm a woman. And today I know that I'm a woman that God created. And I am going to mess up. I'm going to make mistakes. But I can promise you, man, my mess ups and my mistakes today are absolutely nothing like what I was doing. Nothing in comparison to what I was doing. And I can remember the mess ups too when I make them, and that's the cool part. And I don't have to know it all. It's crazy. I can actually say, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people I've just said, oh yeah, it's this, this, and this. And half the stuff that was falling out of my mouth was ridiculous. But I just wanted them to think I knew it all, through sobriety, that's all I hang out with is everybody I've met. Like today we had a bunch of, all the three of the sponsees I have, and friends. We all ate today and had a little gathering. It was a really good time. But several things that I have been through in sobriety, and miraculously I didn't want to drink. And one would be my nephew passing away. My first year was in July, and then the September, right after my first year of sobriety, I woke up. We had worked third shift the night before, and I woke up and my sergeant called and said that my 21-year-old nephew had been involved in a motorcycle accident, and they didn't think he was going to make it, and he wrecked in the city I work in. And one of our sergeants had actually, his son was in the other car. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt, but he was involved in it. So it not impacted only my personal family, it impacted my work family. And my sergeant, I remember him saying, Stacy, do you need me to come get you? We were supposed to work that night. And I remember him saying, do you need me to come get you? And I said, yes, I do. The independent Stacy would have said, oh, no, I don't need you to come get me. I'm fine, but he came and got me. I had to call my brother and tell my brother to come in because he lived 2 hours away to come to Baptist. And I had to call my nephew's mom. Anyway, my nephew did not make it. And my son and my nephew were both 21. They were 6 weeks apart in age and had grown up together. They had graduated together. They did everything together. It was probably one of the most devastating things that's ever happened to my family because, everybody in our family has grown old and passed away, But I remember thinking for the first time in my life, oh my God, how is my brother going to handle this? I wasn't even thinking about my own pain, which is crazy. I've never thought about somebody else's pain. I've always only thought about myself, and I would say that I was able to process the emotions, the pain. I was able to cry. I was able to be there for my family. But you know what? I also picked up my tools that this AA program has given me and the people in these rooms have given me. I picked the phone up. I called my sponsor. I called the network of women. I prayed. I went to the early bird the next morning, and made sure, I told people what happened to me, what happened to my family, and I shared. I didn't hold back. Today, because there were people in here willing to share their story with me and tell me how they did it. You know, I was able to work this program with another woman. I was able to get a relationship with God like I've never had with God today, where I am fully dependent on God. I submit to God every morning. I'm no longer dependent on any person, place, or thing, you know, and I try my best not to be, because I can get pulled back into that if I'm not careful, because that's who I am, okay? And so I've had to check myself along the way, you know, but I've learned a whole new way of living. You know, I have a whole new family that loves me unconditionally. But today I get to be honest about everything about me. You know, if you come up to me and you ask me if I want to go to Burger King, I'm going to tell you McDonald's, because I don't want it my way today. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to tell you I want to go somewhere just because you want to go there. I'm not going to give you an opinion because I know you'll like it, or because you'll like me. I have found out today that I'm here to pray, for one, to keep my own sobriety, but to give back what has absolutely freely been given to me through the people in these rooms and, you know, through this program and God. I want to give back and do the best I can at living every day, one day at a time, because that's all I got to do. This thing is one day at a time, you know, and I'm still learning. That's the crazy part. I'm still growing and I'm still learning. I caught myself trying to be little Miss Perfect while I was praying and telling God, oh, everything's great. Everything's fine. Thank you, thank you, thank you, you know. But I forgot to tell him I was full of rage because I had something happen at work, and one of my coworkers got hurt, and I had so much rage in me, you know, but I wasn't telling God about it. And it was starting to come up. And finally I had to just get on my knees and be honest. God, I'm mad. I'm extremely angry, you know. And I was able to process it after I was honest with God. I know God knows what I'm thinking and all this stuff and feeling, but yet I caught myself trying to be little Miss Goody Two Shoes, even on my knees praying with God. I have found out that I have permission to be raw and open with God. That's where my foundation of this program is at. It's my spiritual connection with God. As I understand God, it's my connection, my understanding. And, you know, this program has changed my life today. I look in the mirror every day and I love the woman looking back at me, you know, because of God and because of this program. I love the woman that looks back at me. I respect the woman that looks back at me because I'm doing respectable things. I have self-esteem today because I'm doing esteemable things. You know, I know today I'm worthy, I'm valued, and I have a purpose. And that's the realization that my relationship with God and this program have given me. I'm not better than you and I'm not less than you. I'm right there with you. You know, we're walking together in this journey, because that's what this is. This is a journey. I'm so grateful that I don't have to miss it. I'm grateful today that I'm an alcoholic, that I know you guys. It's an honor for y'all to even allow me to speak, to be with you guys. You know, I'm full of a lot of gratitude today. And like I said, I wouldn't have wanted to miss it. And I'm grateful I'm an alcoholic, and thank y'all for letting me talk, and hopefully somebody got something from it. At least that's what I prayed for anyway. Y'all have a great Easter. Thank you.
Oh, wow.